Real Talk Radio.
The party.
Hola, everyone. Happy Hump Day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk Radio with Dan Lane. Just gonna clear some things up for you guys, okay? First of all, be that as it may, Trump may lob some Tomahawk missiles into Syria at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I have resources within the inside tells me that they've been briefed that he's going to launch missiles into Syria. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back to the very first time Trump lobbed the mother of all bombs into Syria. Mainstream media said he bombed a base and killed 90 people. Well, they only had half of that right. First of all, the base that he bombed was abandoned. Nobody was there. It was an abandoned base with a few old, burnt-out World War II planes. There was nobody there. Nobody was killed. Okay? And he did that to demonstrate the power. He didn't do that to ignite war. Don't you think that if he would have launched the mother of all bombs directly into Syria, into a domestic population, killing all these women and children, don't you think that would have been considered a war crime? Of course it would have been. Obama did 10 times worse in Syria than Trump will ever do. Now, granted, mainstream media says all they said was bombed a base in Syria, killed 90 people. Okay, we're talking about the mother of all bombs here. Explain to me how the mother of all bombs is only going to kill 90 people. Why would there only be 90 people on a military base? What? It made no sense, even when they said it. Now, let's go ahead and get past all that bull crap because that's over and done with. Let's talk about current events, okay? First of all, the United States and Russia have been working together in this Syrian crisis, and who is Assad fighting? Who is he fighting? He's not fighting his own people. He didn't gas his own people. In fact, not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 times, okay? That he alleged gassed his own people. It turned out that it was the neocon-funded jihadists that did it, not Assad. And then they even had leaked footages from CNN and C-SPAN of these so-called bodies laid up on, under tarps. And one of them got up and scratched his nose and laid back down and put the tarp behind him. Okay, it's such false flag shit, okay? There's not going to be a World War III. Now, let me make another point. The reason why I say there's not going to be a World War III is because we already had a World War III. It was called the Cold War. And I'm not making this up. You can fact check me all you want to. Pentagon officials, members of the CIA, they all openly admit it. They've been admitting it for years that the Cold War was in fact World War III. We're not going to have a World War III, not over that. Or a World War IV, I should say. Now, you got to stop drinking the mainstream media punch, people. They want to keep you in fear. They want to keep you relying on government. They want you to rely on them to protect you. That's what they've been selling for years. Am I worried about a nuclear war? No, because nobody wins a nuclear war. Nobody's going to win a nuclear war. And keep in mind, everybody's worried about Russia. Russia's going to nuke the crap out of us. What good would that do? The Russians don't want a war with the U.S. The U.S. doesn't want a war with Russia. The globalists, the deep state, they want a war. And if they can't get a world war, they'll settle for another proxy war, another 15, 20-year war out in the desert. They'll be happy with that. They just want a war. And Trump sees past all that. He's not stupid. So what I think he's going to do is somehow, during a briefing, it went from 24 targets that he said he was going to hit to 70. Now let's think about this. Where are these targets? Who's he going to launch missiles into? Okay, we need to punish Assad for gassing men, women, and children, but we're going to lock missiles into Syria and kill more men and women and children. Come on, get off the gas, dude. If Trump does anything, he's going to set off a bunch of missiles out in the middle of the desert, killing nobody but hopefully ISIS, which Assad is fighting. Okay, Assad's fighting ISIS. Russia was there to assist Assad in fighting ISIS. Who are we going to go to war with? Well, wait a minute, but aren't we against ISIS? No, that's right. The United States created ISIS. Exactly. So who are we going to go to war with? Who are we going to side with? Be that as it may, if we get over there into Syria, trust me. Now, here's another thing. Everybody's worried about China sending its naval fleets over to assist Russia. Don't get it twisted, people. The Chinese warships are in the Black Sea. They're 1,000 miles away. We're already there. If we wanted to attack Syria, nobody could stop us. It's a done deal. Nobody could stop that. Do we go to war with Russia? Highly improbable. It could be that Trump is just trying to illustrate a point that he's not a Russian agent, and people still call him a Russian agent. You still got people digging under every rock they have, even raiding his lawyer's office for some kind of evidence behind some stripper that there's some kind of Russian collusion there. They're wanting a war. I mean, it makes no sense. They're calling him a Russian agent, but here he is moving and saying, okay, well, you know what? We don't care what you do. We're going to launch. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. He's not going to hit the Russians. He's not going to hit a Russian naval fleet. He's not going to hit a Chinese naval fleet. He's going to lob a bunch of missiles into the desert just so he could go back to the globalists and say, look, you see now? I'm not playing. And then turn around and go back. How much sense does it make, first of all, for you people out there that think Assad gassed his own people? How much sense does it make? Okay, if you really believe that Trump bombed the hell out of Syria and made a point the first time that Assad supposedly gassed his people, or the third time he supposedly gassed his people, and Trump responded with the mother of all bombs, keep in mind, Russia had announced openly they were pulling out of Syria. Okay, our job is done. Syria is stabilized. Assad can handle it from there. Okay, the United States, likewise, announced. Trump announced, we're pulling out of Syria. Isn't it ironic that just as we're about to pull out, Assad supposedly gasses his own people again? How much sense does that make? Does that make any sense to anybody at all? Now all of a sudden everybody's worried about a World War III because of that? Get off the gas, dude. Assad got up there and told everyone, I didn't do it. The damn jihadists did it, just like they did the last 3 times. No one will listen to him. He's beckoning the UN to come in and test for these so-called gases that he has to determine whether or not he actually did drop on his people. The UN admits it. The UN actually was forced to admit that it was the jihadis that did it the first 3 times. It had nothing to do with Assad. This is an Islamic war, people. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it than that. That is it. We're not going to go to World War III. We're not going to go to World War IV. If anything, we'll have another frickin' 10-year proxy war that's going to go absolutely nowhere. It's just going to kill a bunch of innocent people, and that's all there's going to be to it. The Democrats will be happy. They get their war. The globalists, the deep state, they'll be happy. They'll get their little war. Lots of people will die, but now as far as nuclear war, okay, first of all, yes, it is true that Russia is preparing its citizens for a possible nuclear attack. They're giving out iodine. They're giving them booklets on how to survive. They're putting together MRE-type boxed meals that could last for months at a time, instructing them how to evacuate into base. Yeah, they're doing that, and you know why they're doing that? It's not because Russia plans on carrying out a nuclear war. It's because the United States is the only country that has ever dropped an atomic weapon on anybody. And Russia knows We'll do it. We're that stupid. We are that arrogant to think that someone wins a nuclear war. No one's going to win a nuclear war, people. That's it. If you're not lucky enough, to get killed in ground zero, you will die over the next few weeks. Boils, skin burns, your whole body, your whole insides are just burning up with radiation. And then it gets into the jet stream and goes all over the globe. Nuclear winter, all this stuff. How is that going to solve anything? Explain that to me. There's not going to be any countries left. And see, the deep state and the elite, they want a war so bad, that's why they've been evacuating. There's record numbers of movie producers, actors, etc., moving to like New Zealand, Venezuela, other South American countries and stuff like that to avoid what they think is about to happen. But Trump is not stupid enough. I don't feel that he is. Now, either he's part of the agenda and he's going to carry it out and we're going to have a mass nuclear war, which I find highly improbable. I'm not saying, they could be right. I don't think it's very likely, but yeah, they could be right. But rest assured, there's not going to be a World War III. We've already had World War III. It's going to be a World War IV. But in all honesty, we lop a few tomahawks. We lop a few tomahawks into Syria, targeting old abandoned bases, hitting out in the desert just to make a point to the globalists and to everybody else that we have the weaponry and we mean business. We're certainly not going to lop them into right in the heart of Syria, all these populations. We're not going to do that. The whole point is to stop from killing people, right? Or at least that's what I thought anyway. But no, they just want a proxy war. They want when the banks start getting in trouble and they have to start bailing out everybody and companies are going under, what do? You invest in the war because that is very profitable. It's a racket. It's worth trillions of dollars. And it lines their pockets. Trump knows that as a businessman. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's ever studied a war we've ever been in. What started the war in the first place? False flags. You think Assad really, being a Christian, Russian, they are Christians, okay? They're fighting jihadis. That's who he's fighting. Putin said it. Assad has said it. The United States has said it. So who are we fighting? I understand that he's a dictator. Assad is a dictator. I get that. Saddam Hussein was a dictator, but he kept his country in check. And if we had never went over there and took him, there would never have created a vacuum and ISIS would not exist. That's a fact. Saddam Hussein may have been crazy. He may have been a dictator, but he kept his people in check. That's the bottom line. So there's not going to be an all-out thermonuclear war over a few Tomahawk missiles going into evacuated bases in Syria. I'm sorry. It's going to take a little bit more than that. And if there is a nuclear war, you best be believing Russia is not the one that started it. Russia doesn't want a war with us, let alone nuclear. China does not want a war with us, let alone nuclear. And despite what the globalists think and what the Democrats think, you don't want a nuclear war either. You just think you do. No one's going to win it. Everyone's going to lose. No one's going to win it. The whole planet's at stake if something like that were to go off. So stop with the bullshit. Everybody's hitting me up, worried about tomorrow morning, what's going to happen if we're going to be outside barbecuing and all of a sudden these mushroom clouds start going off everywhere. I can tell you right now, if that does happen, it's not Russia that did it. All right? Just know that. It is not Russia that did it. I may do a part 2 to this, but I got to keep my segments now at 15 minutes because my new YouTube channel will not allow me to do any segments longer than that. Imagine that. So I'll get back on, hopefully here within the next few minutes. You guys just keep your pants on. Keep your underwear tight. You're going to be all right, okay? Everybody's going to be fine. The only people you need to be worried about and feel sorry for are the people in Syria.
Real Talk Radio.